San Jose. In the immediate aftermath of the Sharks' Game 4 win Wednesday night, forward Marcus Sorensen may have been the only person at SAP Center who wasn't immediately familiar with the details of his falling first-period goal that opened the scoring in San Jose's series-tying 4-0 win. "I don't even know how I fell," Sorensen said. "I don't remember. I haven't seen it either." For the uninitiated, including, apparently, the Swede himself, Sorensen grabbed Eric Fehr's pass just outside of the trapezoid behind and protected the puck from Vegas Golden Knights forward Alex Touch. Fehr tied up Touch and wasn't called for interference, while Sorensen had nothing but open ice as he curled into the slot. "With that speed, it's got to be hard to cover him," Fehr said. Vegas defenseman John Merrill and Colin Miller tried. The former abandoned Melker Karlsson in front of the net and dove desperately as the latter pulled Sorensen's left skate back. Sorensen then fell forward, and so did goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury, but Sorensen lifted the puck over the Golden Knights goaltender and into the top corner of the gaping net. His fourth goal of the postseason, and San Jose's first of Game 4, ultimately stood as the game winner. It marked just the second time the Sharks had scored first all series. Of course, San Jose scored second, third, and fourth too, tying the series at 2 games apiece and ultimately forcing an eventual Game 6. The first goal was huge, head coach Peter DeBoer said. "We've been chasing the game all series. I think we've had chances in the last 2 games to get out in front, but I think Fleury's been exceptional, especially early in games to keep us off the board." 5-on-5, the Sharks out-attempted the Golden Knights 35-30 in the first periods of Games 2 and 3. They outshot them 22-12 at full strength, per natural stat trick, but Fleury stopped every one. Sorensen's goal, then, was San Jose's first in a first period all series. It was also the fourth line's first since the first round. The group fueled San Jose's first-round sweep of the Anaheim Ducks, but the Sharks did not score a 5-on-5 goal against the Golden Knights with Sorensen, Fehr, and Karlsson on the ice before Game 4. San Jose was also outshot 7-4 and out-attempted 11-8 when the trio was deployed in the second-round games preceding Wednesday, according to Natural Stat Trick. In Game 4, the fourth line returned to its first-round form. San Jose generated as many 5-on-5 scoring chances, 4, with Sorensen, Fehr, and Karlsson playing together on Wednesday as their previous 2 games as a line. The trio also won the 5-on-5 possession battle, 60% Corsi for percentage, best of the Sharks' 4 lines, and San Jose outshot Vegas 7-4 with them on the ice. They even managed to pin the high-flying trio of William Karlsson, Jonathan Marchessault, and Riley Smith in their own zone during a shift in which Vegas' first line and San Jose's fourth were matched up. "We want to contribute every game," Fehr said after Game 4. "Whether it's having good offensive zone shifts, strong defensive zone shifts, we want to be contributing, and pulling our piece of the rope. I think we were able to create some energy tonight. Some energy, as well as a game-winning goal worth a replay or 2, especially for the goal scorer." Editor's note: a previous version of this story said the Sharks scored first for the first time this series. That was not correct. San Jose also scored first in Game 3. "We regret this error. This series started as a best-of-7. The Sharks turned it into a best-of-5. And now, it's a best-of-3, where the Golden Knights retain home ice advantage. It's not to say we haven't learned anything from the first 4 tilts. In fact, we've got a pretty good taste and feel for this matchup. It's just that we haven't gained anything as it relates to who ultimately advances, and who is eventually done." Pete DeBoer's comment that stuck with me leaving SAP Center on Wednesday night was, "We're getting better with every game." I couldn't agree more. Results aside, the Sharks have rebounded nicely from an 8-day layoff and consequently that stinker in Game 1. From my vantage point, they looked as good in Game 4 as they did at any point of Round 1 in a sweep. 1. For the sake of this series, 4-0 is the same as 7-0. I realize the numerical difference between 4 and 7, but each are considered lopsided shutouts. And now each team has one of those decisive wins under their belt. Crazy as this sounded back then, let's rewind and go back to Game 1. If you're the Sharks and had to choose one game to endure a blowout, wouldn't it be the series opener? Plenty of time to adjust, recalibrate, and compensate, because think about what the Golden Knights are facing now, more than halfway through the series, a Sharks group that's getting better and going to force Vegas to make significant adjustments, without much time left, if they can't get it right. 2. Marcus Sorensen, the playoff performer. Part of that 8-day layoff between playoff games also took Marcus Sorensen off the radar, which was unfortunate because he was on a 3-game goal streak to end the sweep of Anaheim. As the smallest player in height and weight on the team, it's been special to watch him tally 4 4 goals in his 8 games this postseason. Debo raved about Sorensen and his fourth line after Game 4, saying, "We wouldn't be here without them." Especially impressive was the power move Marcus made to get San Jose on the board in Wednesday's first period. He was the one-man cycle, not stopping until he beat Fleury on the forehand while falling to the ice. 3. The goalie attention. It's not to take anything away from Marc-Andre Fleury, he's already won 3 more Stanley Cups than most will even sniff in their careers. He also had an impeccable start to this postseason, pitching 3 shutouts in the first 5 consecutive wins. But as Tomas Hertl reminded us about Fleury, he's not Superman. The Sharks are continuing to chip away at the opponent goaltender. Simultaneously, Martin Jones is very much the lesser-discussed netminder of this matchup, but is proving his playoff prowess pound for pound. This series, especially with all the close games, is heavily reliant on those critical saves that only the great goalies are capable of. It's like watching 2 great quarterbacks or starting pitchers duel over and over. 4. Vegas wasn't sending a message at the end. They were frustrated if William Carrier and company were trying to plant some seeds against the Sharks, or just draw some blood. Why did they wait until the final minutes of regulation, in a game they were losing 4-0? What you saw at the very end on Wednesday night was frustration by Las Vegas. And that's a great sign for San Jose. It took 4 games, and it might be resolved by Friday night, but for now, you unhinged the Golden Knights. Their only prior playoff adversity was a double overtime loss in Game 2, so this one has to breathe a little bit of doubt for the team headed back home to Southern Nevada. 5. The proximity factor will begin to play in once you passed Game 4 in a Stanley Cup playoff series. The travel starts to get busy, a lot of back and forth. Road, home, road, is how it will got for San Jose if this round requires all 7 games. Fortunately, the short flights and same time zone are huge benefits to both clubs, and for whomever advances, easy travel in the first 2 rounds will pay eventual dividends. Imagine if this were round 2 for San Jose against St. Louis or Nashville. Thousands of extra travel miles and time changes would be in the works for every additional game of the series. Luckily those are not factors, considering most of our commutes to work are longer than the flight from SJC to LAX. Box score: the Sharks took their first ever 2-goal lead against the Vegas Golden Knights in the first period. They eventually took their first 3-goal lead, and 4-goal lead en route to a 4-0 win in Game 4 of the second round on Wednesday. The series is tied 2-2, and will thus return to San Jose for a Game 6 on Sunday. Marcus Sorensen and Jonas Donskoi each scored in the final 4.5 minutes of the first period, while leading goal scorer Tomas Hertl and Joe Pavelski added insurance in the second and third, respectively. Martin Jones stopped all 34 shots he faced, and rookie defenseman Joakim Ryan played 11:55 in his playoff debut. The Golden Knights had 4 power play opportunities after Hertl scored 5.5 minutes into the second, but managed only 5 shots on goal. Jones stopped each one to preserve his 3rd shutout of the playoffs. Things got chippy late. Nate Schmidt high-sticked Timo Meier with about 3 minutes to go, but wasn't penalized. William Carrier and Evander Kane sat for the last 1:52 after a scrum. Carrier picked up an additional minor, and Brayden McNabb sat with him for delay of game 56 seconds later. Standout performers in Jose relied on Jones early and often. The Sharks were held without a shot on goal for 4:17, and Jones stopped 5 from the Golden Knights in that span. Sorensen scored on San Jose's very next shot, and thanks in part to Jones' penalty killing in the third, the Sharks wouldn't look back. Injury update: Donskoi lower body returned to his spot on the top line, but all eyes were on another first-line forward during warm-ups. Joe Thornton, sprained right MCL, who told reporters Wednesday morning that he would not play in Game 4, did not participate in line rushes before the game after skating on the top line at the morning skate. But next the series shifts back to Sin City for Game 5 on Friday, as the Sharks aim to take their first lead of the series. Our coverage begins with Sharks Playoff Central at 6:30 p.m. on NBC Sports California Plus. Puck drops on NBCSN at 7, followed by a post-game edition of Sharks Playoff Central on NBC Sports California Plus after the final horn.